Hey everybody, good morning. Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good here with an update on that stormy setup for the next few days, and then we'll actually get into a little more into the longer term in the next week. But the next few days, we'll be on guard for some thunderstorms tracking through the area. Today, just like yesterday, coverage looks very, very limited and mainly north. Tomorrow, more active, especially later in the day into the evening. I'll go through that setup. And then Friday, while we're not outlooked, the radar will likely be active with some rain and perhaps some thunder on Friday itself, but that's something we'll deal with one step at a time here, right? So let's talk about, first off, what we have now, and we had some mid-level clouds across the area, mainly, and we're just not able to get the image because the sun's not high enough in the sky yet, but it's mainly north and east of town. The warm front is already beginning to tilt a bit more. It's more horizontal in Indiana and a little more slanted in eastern Kentucky into Ohio, so it kind of bends to the right there. But that will be the focal point for anything that could develop later on for this morning, for even a little hint of some maybe some cumulative extent of some of this. So this will be the zone here to watch for maybe a shower or a thunderstorm that could develop later today, and that actually is where the marginal risk is for today as well. The rest of us, a bit more of a challenge. Wider view shows the setup, and again I'll add the fronts onto the map here so you can see where it again stretch out across the area. High pressure is nudging into Kentucky from the south to allow us relatively quiet weather in our neck of the woods, and meanwhile the low is now in the Rockies. It's about to move out and attach itself to this front, and then that will be the main driver for a lot of the activity as we head into the end of the period here for the week. Alright, so let's talk about the severe setup today. Mainly ahead of the low is where the nasty stuff will be, but even along the front there will be some impulses tracking along that, because the low itself is what it's doing. It's sending out little pieces of energy that are moving along it and kind of work their way across the Midwest, and then just kind of fade out. So that's why the sight risk kind of cuts off in Illinois, but still a couple stronger storms in our northern counties can't be ruled out. Here's Futurecast for today. Shows a few little blips to the north, closer to the front, quiet weather, and then also thunderstorms in our northern area. What we'll be watching for on that is maybe an impulse moving through the northern Ohio Valley. All right, then as we head throughout the day on Thursday, well, then the front begins the pulling down process. We become unstable, therefore the radar is going to show more activity, more into the heart of wave country. Showers and thunderstorms, waves of them, in fact, passing through the area off and on through the afternoon and evening period, which makes forecasting the high temperature for tomorrow a challenge, because all you need is a thunderstorm at 2 o'clock, and there goes your high for the day. But if we can avoid thunderstorms for a while in several areas for the max heating of the day, especially, then mid-80s, just like today, well into the 80s, are reachable. But a thunderstorm can easily knock you down, and there goes your forecast high. So bear with us on the highs tomorrow, because not everybody's going to be uniform on that one. There's just too much on the radar to alter that. Here's that slight risk, though. It's basically along 64, a few counties north and south of that for the afternoon, evening period especially. That overnight activity that I was talking about, how the radar was lighting up tonight, there's a bit of Cape to our north, and the impulse, this is looking at vorticity, there's an impulse that tracks right along Indiana. At the moment, it looks like we'll be just capped enough here locally that I don't see any issues, but I will watch you guys from, say, Bedford to about North Vernon in case an outflow or when these thunderstorms can track into our northern fringes of our area. So I did up the rain chance overnight tonight to 30% to account for that possibility. And that may be too high. Kevin and Ryan may look at the information later and have to lower that back down, but that's the reason why I did uptick it, is that potential there to the north. Now, tomorrow afternoon and evening, as that front moves more to the south, look at how many different impulses we've got. Several tracking through the area along that front. So it's, again, waves of thunderstorms will be passing through here, and then some sun in between them. And humid, quite humid. Wind energy will kind of come in pockets, too, with each one of these. But in general, there's enough wind energy along this front, and then with these little pieces moving through, that a few organized clusters of thunderstorms can go for a while with severe potential. In other words, you may, usually when you have weak winds aloft, you can get a severe thunderstorm warning for a thunderstorm cell, and then once it falls apart, that's it, it's done. It's over. When you have stronger winds aloft, the thunderstorm can have a tailpipe to it, and therefore it can produce warnings for several counties. It can go for a while before it falls apart. So that's why we talk about organized severe weather, and why the winds aloft are key on that. Is, does it have a tailpipe or not? If it doesn't, then it's a limited issue. And tomorrow there will be a little more of a tailpipe, or an exhaust pipe, I should say, to deal with. So that's what we need to monitor those, because some of them could last a bit. And instability is up there tomorrow. I mean, this is pretty strong instability showing up. across the I-64 corridor. One of the driving factors to that, though, is not only the chance we'll get some sunshine mixed in with this, but it's the moisture content. The NAM is forecasting dew points well into the 60s and not into the 70s. Question is it overdoing it? Because we've got a lot of green out there at the moment, and we got a lot of transpiration going on, envirotranspiration. I'll get it right one of these days. That's taking place. So the moisture from all the plants, and trees, and so forth is beginning to do its evaporating process, and that adds humidity to the air. So the models may be struggling a bit here on the moisture content, but it is a big driver in how unstable it will be, and certainly it does indicate a lot. Let me stress this: a lot of lightning with these thunderstorms for tomorrow. That could be certainly more of an issue than anything, but we'll watch out for some downdrafts that could develop for strong winds and, of course, some hail as well. Now, the weekend looks quiet. We get into next week. We're still in this, the Omega block kind of pattern here, where you got a trough on either end of the coast, you got the ridge and the plains. We're going to be on the eastern side of that, so recovery takes place next week. We begin to warm up, and here's what's interesting is how the blocking pattern's still there, but it becomes a different kind of block, almost close to a Rex block, but not quite. What that means is we're going to get a Bermuda high building in the southeast corner of the country. The ensembles hint at it. The Euro a little stronger with it than GFS or the Canadian, and this is the Euro right here in the middle, by the way. And then with a low pressure that kind of gets stalled out, the trough does, across the Rockies. Still looking at see how intense this ridge may end up being in our neck of the woods. At 90s, I think, are certainly an issue for the southeast, Georgia and the Carolinas. Likely to hit that 90-degree mark. Very humid, very summer-like. We'll be on the edge of it. We may get close to 90, but a lot of 80s. But here's the issue. Right at the edge of that, that's what you need to watch for carefully, because that can lead to a repeated round of thunderstorms. Because, again, that low, that trough's going to be cut off in the Rockies, so you're going to have rounds of showers and thunderstorms over and over and over again. And so far, with this high, the way it's blocking it, and a lot of this rainfall is what's coming through the next couple of days. But certainly this rainfall is what it is picking up on for next week. This is an area that cannot handle this at all. This would be a big, big, big flooding issue for our friends to the west. So if the models are right, this is going to be a big story next week. Will be the flooding. We'll get a few thunderstorms potentially, but very, very summer-like here. But if the models are wrong and the high is a little more offshore, then that zone of storminess will move right into our area for next week. Can't rule that out. That'll be our focus for next week. We'll be monitoring. Until then, we've got enough on our plate in the short term. Have a good one.